I'm going to show how the fairing on this 1983 R100RS goes together. I'm going to start by trying to show you all of the pieces that go into the fairing. I already removed the windscreen, which mounts through these holes in the dash, and those holes go through some of the body panels. Also, the dash is attached to those panels using some copper rivets that you have to remove to take the fairing apart. So starting from the front, there's a center upper panel which includes the headlight tunnel, and then underneath there's a panel here which is a middle center panel, and then there's the panel here which is the lower center panel with the grille in front of the engine. There's an upper body panel, which is this one, which contains the turn signal housing, and then it mounts onto the lower body panel here. The dash contains the voltmeter, clock, and the ignition switch, and when I remove the dash you can get to all of that very easily. So to start taking the fairing apart, I removed the mirror, which has a bracket with studs, and those fit through the holes in the upper fairing panel, and they go through two holes in a gusset on the upper tube of the fairing bracket, so that holds and anchors the top of the top panel. One thing I want to show is on the upper fairing bracket there's a large bolt that secures the center upper panel to the top side panel. Now if I go around, I can show you some more of the hardware that goes into securing everything. Right here is a bolt that goes through the top center panel and the side panel. That's that big one I showed you from the front, but then there's another series of them, of bolts that connect the panels. One here, one here, one here, one here, and then way up top one here. So all of those attach the upper side panel to the center upper panel, and that's the same on both sides. They also use a set of screws with Tinnerman clips, and in this case it has its little black vanity cover to keep you from catching your hand on the sharp end of the screw. But these go all the way down here, tying that center upper panel to the upper side panel, and then they go down here, and there's another one here which helps tie the upper side panel to the middle panel, and that gets tied right in through here. Then these all connect the lower to the upper panel. Now there's one more bracket here that is tied to the frame with a bolt and a clamp. It's kind of hard for me to show that. There we go. That connects with a bolt here that ties the upper to the lower panels. Then the lower panel is secured at the bottom with another bracket right here. That bracket ties into the front engine mounting bolt, and then there's bolts that go into bushings at the bottom. Now that I have that upper body panel off, it's easier to see some of the details that I talked about earlier. This is that upper fairing bracket with the legs that go down here, and then there's the leg that goes up this way, and that's the one that the mirrors mount in. Then this part of the bracket's used to hold the headlight, and then as we look inside, you can see that this piece of the bracket has a hole that shows where one of the two mounting bolts attach it to the steering head. So that's how that bracket is mounted onto the bike. You can also see here where I was talking about the bolts that go through. These are the tabs that hold all those bolts. And then down here is where the Tinnerman clips were that tied together the upper panel to the middle panel. This is the middle panel here. And also in this one ties the upper panel to the middle panel to the bottom panel. So again, trying to make everything rigid.